Alright, so I'm going to take apart this Huayi Carburetor. This is from a Honda GCV160. This model number. This is a bit of a slightly different one, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull it apart here. And you can watch me clean it. Bowl nut's already loose. These styles have a secondary drain nut, which is helpful to get the gas out of the carburetor without having to remove the main bowl nut. And you can see this one is actually very, very clean, surprisingly. I always clean them in the ultrasonic cleaner before storing them. I don't store anything dirty. I want to make sure that it's 100% clean and ready to go when I need to use it. Take out the hinge pin. There's the float bowl. It appears to have an adjustable height. I do not know what the correct height adjustment is. This carburetor. The bowl, or rather the float, is very clean. Here's what the needle valve with a rubber seat looks like. There's a little spring-loaded pin on top. The seat, I don't believe, is serviceable. It's just a brass insert. The seat is basically the seat is where the rubber touches down, but it's on the pin itself. There's not a secondary rubber seat in there. There's the bowl gasket. Bowl gasket looks a little bit thicker than the ones you typically see on the Huayi or the Ruking carburetors. It doesn't have those little indentations that stick out, so it's a different one. Now the jet is not in the bowl nut, the jet is in here. It's brass. Now the thing with removing these jets is you've got to find the flat blade screwdriver that fits the best. Now, for some reason, this old-ass wood-handled, I don't know, maybe 1930s screwdriver is the one that happens to fit the best in here with barely any play. If you were to use something like this that doesn't fit properly, what's going to happen is it's going to cam off of there and strip it. So once you've loosened that, the jet will come out along with the emulsion tube. So again, as I say, it's brass, and if your screwdriver doesn't fit there properly, it's just going to cam right off of there and come out. So you really need a screwdriver that fits in there snugly. Actually, this one here happens to fit a little bit better. See, there's basically no play. That's what you need. In here is the Orifice. The best way to clean these is with stranded copper wire, and you should be able to see right through there like that. Same with the emulsion tube. All of these holes should be unblocked and clear. And the way this works is it draws fuel up through the main jet, up through the emulsion tube, as well as through the idle circuit. So I don't know how well I'll be able to get this show up on camera, but way in there okay, there you can kind of see it. It's a tiny little hole, and it feeds into the idle circuit. There's a Welsh plug back here, or freeze plug, that you can pop out if you're having extreme difficulty getting this to idle, where it's surging and revving and surging and revving, or hunting. That's due to a plugged idle circuit. You see that a lot more commonly with these Tecumsehs. This one, I've popped out the Welsh plug over here. You can see that the idle jet is in the side right here, and it goes through the same sort of circuit, and then out this hole, and then out these two tiny holes in the wall of the carburetor. And sometimes, as I say, more commonly so with these Tecumsehs, you have to actually take out that Welsh plug and clean these out with a brush, because the ultrasonic cleaner even can't do a very good job of cleaning that. But usually with some compressed air and some perseverance, you can get them going. With these Huayi and the Ru King or Ru Ying, I typically don't have very many problems. This is the idle screw, and then under here is where is hidden the idle jet. So you must take out that screw to get to it. Now this isn't an adjustment, it's just a jet. That's all it is. And that too should be clear. You should be able to see through it. And then you can see down in there. I'll take this screw out over here. This one's spring loaded, so that there I believe is the idle adjustment. Now we can take off the choke plate and the throttle plate. It's simply one screw there. Typically I just leave them on. We can see it's nice and loose, but on an old machine where they're extremely crusty, I would go ahead and take them off if they looked, something like that. Now the way this works is you have a choke on the outside which closes and allows fuel to be drawn up through the emulsion tube, and then it opens up afterwards, and then this here is the main throttle plate, like that. And what I typically do is I'll clean this in a bowl by hand with some gasoline or some spray 9. I'll get all the dirt, surface dirt off of it as much as possible, and then I'll go and throw this in the ultrasonic cleaner. With the Tecumseh bowls, which are aluminum, I very rarely put those in the ultrasonic cleaner because it'll penetrate right through and eat right through the aluminum bowl. So what I'll do is I'll put them on semi-wave or half power for maybe a couple minutes, monitoring it, ensuring that it's not eating through the bowl, because more often than not it eats right through the bowl and the bowl is finished. These bowls are steel, I believe. It's not, I think it's probably nickel plated or zinc plated, but it's a steel bowl. These ones typically have no problem, but when it's pristine like that, there's really no point in doing that. Same with the float bowls. Plastic float bowls you can put in the cleaner, no problem. The brass ones, if it's kind of questionable, the cleaner's going to eat right through it, so I wouldn't do that. Since I'm filming a video here, we'll just briefly touch on the Tecumseh. This one, the main jet is adjustable. On newer flavors of carburetors, nothing is adjustable at all, because they don't want you fucking with it and messing with emissions standards and all that bullshit. So that's the adjustment here. You have a dump, spring loaded with a little washer inside. Your idle adjustment is over here. This one's actually an adjustment. The one that typically it has like a little plastic plug on it and it screws right out. That one's not an adjustment, it's a jet. But this one, it's actually an adjustment, so you can play with the idle. There's another little washer or an O-ring in there, and then you really have a fine amount of adjustment with these. And after thorough cleaning, typically I can get these to come back no problem, but with Tecumseh motors, it's usually a 50-50 shot. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't, and you have really weird problems with them. That's why Tecumsehs are rather questionable and not very favored among repair people. So that's about it. If you have any questions, let me know.